I'm Zach. I just started like 3. True. True. Right? So you just
Hey.
How's it going, Mayor? Commissioners? Let's call the meeting to order. I'll ask staff to take a quick roll.
Mayor Devine.
Here.
Wayne Clark.
Yes.
Kathleen Dagenhart is excused. Brian Frank.
Here.
Vasi Menka.
Here.
Amanda Nowak. David Rashka.
Here.
Eric Torkelson.
Here.
Matt.
We have a quorum? Great. Next item is approval of the minutes from our meeting on the 25th of August.
Motion to approve? Second.
It's a motion and a second. Are there any changes to the minutes? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it, the minutes are approved. And we will move on to item D, 2A and 2B, Camino.
Thank you, Mayor. So this first item is for Camino. We have Casey here with us. So this is for a proposed expansion of the existing Camino restaurant into the adjacent tenant space of the same building. They basically want to expand their room for their prep kitchen and dining area. This is within the C1 downtown district, and since restaurants are a special use in C1, they're going to have a public hearing scheduled for October 19th. So just a little bit of history about the space. Its previous use was a vape shop. So they're gone, all of their signage is gone. And before that, it was Swords and Dreams, which is a reptile rescue shop where they used to sell all sorts of reptiles, iguanas, and katanas. So,
What else? Been working on that all week, haven't you?
well received, thank you. So Camino's hours of operation will not be changing. Floor plan, well, they're expanding about 1,200 square feet and are including 2 new doorways, which will connect the 2 spaces. In the new space, they're going to be updating the flooring as well as electrical and plumbing. And then they'll be removing a small bathroom located right around here to make way for the prep kitchen. And this dining area will seat about 44 new customers. There aren't any proposed changes to the exterior except that the signage has been removed and brought up to speed with branding for Camino, and as well as the outdoor seating. So they've already moved their outdoor seating and added a few new spaces onto the sidewalk. The zoning code calls for 25 parking stalls, but since they are in the downtown, they have 0 provided. But there is ample parking around the downtown and the city-owned lots behind the property, as well as on the street. So we're asking for Common Council to waive this requirement. So with that, staff recommends approval, subject to the approval of a special use by Common Council. Thanks.
Thank you. Questions? Wayne?
Tony, thank you, Mayor. Tony, when we talk about the parking in the public area and street parking, and there are many other neighboring businesses that look at the same parking, don't we at some point in time have a conflict where there's not enough parking?
Okay.
Well, at this point, we haven't reached a point where we've reached parking capacity in any of the city-owned lots. I think if we ever do reach that, then we would have to reevaluate our downtown parking. But so far, we haven't reach that point.
And you would know that because tenants would be complaining?
Tenants wouldn't be complaining, and we also keep a close eye, just being so close to everything here. We often commute down this alleyway and keep an eye on things.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Move approval.
Who was first there?
Give it to my colleague.
Motion by Brian, is there a second?
Wayne?
Sure.
All right, there is no other discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. All right. Thanks, Casey. All right. Then we'll move on to item 3.
Zach will be presenting this next item.
Okay.
All right, so the third item is Lincoln Contractors. We have Jason from MSI here representing Lincoln Contractors. Lincoln Contractors has Jacob, sorry.
Yeah.
sorry, Jacob. Lincoln Contractors has been in this location for about 30 years. What they're proposing is to add a 12,000 square foot warehouse to the southwest corner of the lot. This building would be used to house some of the mid to large size equipment that they currently store out in the yard, as you can see from this aerial view. Lincoln Contractors this property is in the M1 Light Industrial District, and Lincoln Contractors is a permitted use in the district. All right, so just to look at the floor plan, it's pretty straightforward. There's going to be about 100 feet by 120 feet with several different storage racks to hold the equipment and kind of maximize the space for them. There's going to be 6 different garage doors along the eastern side of the building, as well as some service doors on the north and south. Now looking at this site and landscaping plan, we worked with Lincoln Contractors to modify this a little bit and improve a few different areas, specifically the main one being some landscaping additions to the northwest corner. Some pictures of this right now. This is the entrance, right next to the entrance to our dog park. And as you can see, if you're walking in the dog park, you can see pretty clearly into the parking lot of this area. And it's kind of doesn't fit some of the park, qualities that we have there. So we worked with them to provide some amenities for people going to the dog park, including some benches on concrete pads, as well as some 6 evergreen trees to kind of shield that entrance from people moving into the dog park. The second item we worked with them on was to move the dumpster, which was currently in line with the driveway you see right here, the western driveway, at the rear of the yard and kind of in sight from the street. And we suggested that they move it behind the existing building to be out of sight, and they agreed, and that has already been completed. Now looking at the architectural plan, the warehouse is going to be made from painted split-faced CMU blocks. You can see here we have the series of garage doors. Architecturally, there's this nice red striped kind of break up the facade there. Above that, some lighting, which is wrapped around the building on each side. There's also going to be windows along the north, west, and south faces. Staff, for this project, staff recommends approval, just subject to compliance with the stormwater ordinance. And so, yes, that's all. Questions?
All right, thanks. Any questions? Rossi?
How far back does that dog park go? Is it just that area right in the front?
So there's 2 parts to it. There's a small dog and a large dog, and in total it's about 5 acres of land. And that's one entrance off of Hayes, and there's a second entrance off of Cleveland Avenue, which there's about a quarter-mile hike from Cleveland north to where you get to the gated part of the dog park and enter. But it's, if we had an aerial view, so it's behind the police station, west of Lincoln Contractors, and east of Hale, north of Cleveland Avenue. So it's a fairly large area.
Is there a trail like by that wooded area that you can? Oh.
Yeah. So 2 entrances to the dog park. Yeah, one off of Hayes that Zach was explaining, and then another one off of Cleveland. So where you could just park in the street on Cleveland and near the practice fields and walk in. Yeah.
So moved.
To
Second.
approve and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, with your permission, I'd like to step back briefly to the prior item. I have a question for Tony.
Sure.
Thank you. Why is staff not requiring a surety bond?
Well, we deemed this project small enough to not require, just in terms of project costs, and they've shown good faith in making the changes that we've asked for, so we're not going to make that requirement of them.
Generally speaking, in fact, almost always, we ask for bonds, right?
Right. And if you recall at the last meeting, or maybe it was 2 meetings ago, we decided to do away with surety bonds, or at least a requirement for every single project, and left that decision up to Plan Commission.
All right. Thank you.
Sure. All right. We did vote on item 3, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
So we'll move on to item, thank you. Thank you. Can I just ask which item you guys are here for?
The last one, probably.
The last-
It's out right now.
It is?
Yeah.
Maddox? Yeah.
Okay, good. I was just gonna not keep you here for the rest of the agenda if I didn't have to, so. All right, great. Let's take up item 4 then.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Item 4 is Maddox Plumbing, and again, we have 2 representatives from Maddox Plumbing here today with us. This project is at, let's see, this address, which is just east of Highway 100. The proposal is to add a over 30,000 square foot addition to the existing building there, just to the east. This property is in the M1 Light Industrial District and is a permitted use. Their plan is to store some of the materials that they have currently outside in the yard in this warehouse. The floor plan is pretty simple. This is essentially just an open floor with unfinished features just added to the east side of the building. And again, just to provide some protection and some additional security for these materials, which the company currently stores outdoors. Now looking at the site and landscaping plan, there's 2 main components to this highlighted here. The first one is by this small little office at the front of the building. There is a few different plantings that are there right now, and they're going to be replanting them with some new plants in these little island medians in the parking lot, as well as on the west side of this little office. They're also going to be adding a new planting bed here, or sorry, to the east side. They're adding a new planting bed to the west side. The more significant landscaping change is going to be occurring in the rear of the property. As you can see from this aerial view, there used to be this small little forested area, which was blocked off actually by a fence, which ran along right here. This consisted primarily of box elder trees, which we can move on, get a little more detailed view of their plans. They're going to be removing this little forest and instead adding a more landscaped area, including this large stormwater pond to manage the runoff from the property with some green infrastructure. This will take some of the water from the roof and from the parking lot right there and allow it to soak in slowly over time and kind of manage that water right there. As I mentioned before, they'll be moving the existing fence that used to be right here, moving it to the east edge of the property line. Then they'll also be landscaping this area with native plants in the stormwater pond, as well as some perennial grasses, shrubs, and trees as displayed here. Moving on, architectural plans it's going to be another painted split face CMU block exterior. As you can see from this elevation here, it's going to be slightly taller than the existing building, about 3 feet. There's going to be a 39-foot wide open air canopy to help protect people as they're loading here, and also allow some space to be covered for storage. There will be 2 pairs of garage doors and storage doors on the south and east faces of the building. Now we're going to talk about a little bit about this frontage roads easement here. In our comprehensive plan for 2040, there's a recommendation to, as part of the redevelopment of Highway 100, to develop a modified frontage road system. This kind of existing corridor here is displayed in blue. These blue streets are ones that are currently there. These green dashed lines represent current easements that the city has with property owners. This current system of frontage roads with easements with the city was developed in cooperation with property owners, specifically these retail uses that would really benefit from having some kind of cross-traffic connections throughout those roads there. This current use, or this current building sits in a potential site for a future connection. However, at this time, staff is not recommending we pursue this easement. There are a few reasons for that. First off, the property owners have not indicated any interest in that, and it would really require several property owners to be able to make this connection through these multiple sites. We think that this would be probably better suited for a time where there's a use change in the area. This wouldn't really serve the needs of these kind of more manufacturing-based companies as well. There's also kind of a little bit of a hindrance with some of these, the way the parking lots and the storage areas are designed, that wouldn't really make sense to have this run through here right now. So we are not recommending to try to get an easement for these frontage roads yet. All right, and so then staff ultimately recommends approval pending the showing the color of exterior paint, which has already been identified, and it's just going to be the same colors as the existing building. Then a landscaping plan just to be approved by forestry, and then second, just complying with the stormwater management ordinance, and yes, being reviewed by our engineers.
Thanks.
Yep.
Questions?
Zach, if we don't take on the connecting roadway, we're not going to have another bite at this apple for a lifetime. Is that a concern, Steve?
I guess, not so much. Not at this time. I think it would be a hindrance to the flow, the flow of just the private property owners there, which include, I think, Lexico Tile, Maddox Plumbing, Able Distribution, and then I think even Mulga. And those are all light industrial uses, and sending more or less creating a private easement through those properties would really, I think, interrupt, the daily business operations of those businesses. So this isn't in our opinion, it's not the right opportunity to require that as part of a building addition in this case. So it's going to probably have to be a longer term opportunity, somewhere down the road. If Lexico Tile, for instance, sells their property to a retail use or something like that, then we can maybe continue that thought of maybe bringing a cross easement across for instance, the Lexico Tile property to get to Mitchell Street, and then complete that private set of easements from Greenfield Avenue south to Mitchell.
Mr. Mayor, in my pursuit of surety bond issues tonight, Zach, in the prior example where surety bond, it was not asked for, one of the issues was that it was very little value. This one, we have a 30,000 square foot addition, which has a lot of value. Why aren't we requiring a surety bond on this one?
Yeah, I think again, we thought that basically, this was not some extreme, extreme size of an addition. It's just an addition to the existing building. And again, an act of kind of, they've been acting in good faith and showing us really detailed landscaping plans, and we feel that, we can trust them in terms of getting those.
Steve, if I could follow on with you. In the future, when you indicate that you're not requiring or recommending a surety bond, would you just add an additional statement as to why?
Sure, we'll do.
Thank you.
That sounds good. Condition 2 here, it's like mentioned, is also, it's required that stormwater management, to meet the stormwater management ordinance of the city, they have to do a stormwater management plan, and then they actually have to implement that as a condition of basically, if they're gonna get a building permit, they have to present that stormwater management plan, and then it has to be implemented to handle the stormwater runoff. That's required by MMSD and DNR, water quality types of things, so there's enough teeth, I think, in those overarching rules that, we don't need to impose another condition.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you. Move approval.
Just to
Go ahead, Dave.
follow on with his question, so the surety bond in the past was used basically for enforcement of
Yeah.
that the landscape plan would be put in place.
Sure.
Is there something that would be tied to, let's say, occupancy or final building inspection that would be the equivalent of that? Is that something they look at?
It
or-
could, technically you could hold up, occupancy of that addition, down the road after it's been, built and it's in place, and let's just say they don't install the foundation plantings around that one part of the building, or they don't do something else, but yeah, you could slow it down, whether or not, I guess building inspection would take a look at it, and at some point they may issue the occupancy, but it could slow down the process of them getting the final
But
sign off.
our current stance is gonna be on these smaller projects, that we're gonna act in good faith and just
Yeah.
see how it goes with the businesses.
Right.
If it's a problem, we move back to enforcing it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
That area by the railroad, is that wetland delineation? Is any of that wetland?
No, it's not. It's actually, I think at one point in time, the prior owners had dumped rubble in there, which we'll be removing.
Sure.
And then they kind of enabled the box elders and the other scrub trees to take over
Sure.
back there. So it's really not very navigable right now, even to
Mhm.
walk it with the chunks of concrete and so forth
Oh,
that are
so they
back
use it
there.
as like a fill site, dump site?
Yeah, so once upon a time it was used for that, so we'll clean all of that up,
Right.
in preparation for the stormwater pond. And then there will also be a slight berm to the east towards the railroad tracks that will landscape and put, new plantings
Sure.
in and so forth.
Did they require you to get a railroad permit for all of that, just because you're?
No, we're
Yeah, or-
we're not within, we're not encroaching the
Sure,
distance that
sure,
would
sure. Okay,
require
so it's
that.
all on property, okay.
Sure.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, that was my next question. We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? None, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks. Move on to item 5, signage plan appeal.
Thank you, Mayor. So this next item here is for a sign plan appeal for Allstate, an insurance company. And they have a business office use, which is permitted in the C2 district. So they are moving locations and want to make use of an existing raceway letter set that they have had and want to put it onto this building somehow, but as a wall sign, it wouldn't really attach well to any of the exterior facades. So they are proposing to put it on the roof. So in our sign code, a wall sign may be allowed on a roof surface only if the roof surface is within 25 degrees of vertical, such as a mansard roof, for example. So this does not meet that standard, but the proposed sign does meet the square footage requirement, and it is within the roof line. That's another standard. If it was poking out above the roof line, then it wouldn't be allowed. So precedent has been set with a few other properties. I know Burger King over on Highway 100 was one of them, and Waterstone Bank is another one here. And here's a nice image of that. So since there is precedent, staff believes that this wall sign is not objectionable and should be allowed. So we recommend approval.
Thank you. Any questions?
Tony,
Surety bond?
no? But very close, thank you, Mayor. Tony, the staff believes this wall sign is not objectionable. Not objectionable to whom? To you?
Personally, I guess. And probably to most people, I would assume that it's not, poking up above the building. It's still, if you look at the building head on, it has the same function as a wall sign.
I think it's a handsome sign. I move approval.
All right,
Second.
motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. We'll move on to item 6.
Thank you, Mayor. If you recall, about a couple years ago, we approved a special use permit for the Lifeway Church, which is now known as 414 Church over on 75th and National. They are requesting a 1-year extension of time to complete the site improvements with just a couple minor modifications. So due to the pandemic and an unexpected roof failure, which cost them $50,000, they feel the need to ask for more time to complete what we have asked of them. So 2 years ago, we asked them to replace the concrete wheel stops with poured curb along 75th Street, and also landscape some of the buffered areas around the perimeter parking lot, so here and up here in this corner. And then also include a 4-sided refuse enclosure, which was originally here. I'll show you in the next image. They want to move it. And resurface and restripe the whole parking lot, and then combine the 2 lots, because these are actually 2 separate lots. The parking lot is one, and then the one that the building is on is another. We want them to combine those 2 lots via a CSN. So the 2 alterations they want to make is to change the location of the refuse enclosure from right about here to over here. They want to be able to store their snow now that they've experienced a winter. They want to be able to store their snow here. And a similar change, they want to move the buffered area, which was more so on this corner, and switch it to over here, again for snow storage. So staff recommends approval, subject to landscaping buffered areas around the perimeter of the parking lot, coordinating with our city forester on appropriate salt and snow tolerant species within the landscape areas, and also a schedule indicating the proposed start and completion date.
Yeah, Tony, have you received the schedule yet, or?
We have not yet.
You have not.
I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, I just, okay.
Just that they want to get it done within a year.
Yes, please.
Yeah, because my thing would be, I think this would be like a good project where we could have some, like, perhaps some follow-up, because like, on these milestones on here, so like, you have the refuse enclosure, second quarter 2022. My thought would be that, this should be like followed up with, that we revisit it, is what I'm saying, once that more detailed schedule is presented. Because I think, like one of the themes in Plan Commission is about kind of like the enforcement here of the plans. And so, that'd be my thought, unless any other commissioners would see otherwise, that, we revisit this.
Came back in 6 months with
Yes,
a report
yes.
back.
Yes, I think that would
So
be
it'd
good.
Like in what, maybe March or April, and, yeah.
And they started as 2019, September 2019. How much has been done?
Well, Tony, they've
That
pretty
is
much-
actually, that's in the staff report. I did include a list of everything that they've accomplished.
I guess I didn't see that part, sorry.
It's okay.
I think they're actually holding services there now, right?
They are.
They're doing their work there. Most of the work that's been done on the site, and Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, I think has been spent inside the building, just correcting, just getting it set up for their services and their organization. But then, as Tony mentioned, there was that roof issue that also caught them off guard. So that was something they had to address immediately, and that just kind of snowballed to the point where now they're not able to get to some of those exterior tweaks that we had approved prior.
Go ahead, Dave.
In your staff report, you had mentioned a little bit about, it sounds like there was some question on the green space that we're asking for adjacent to the library. It sounded like, did they have an issue with that's where they're piling up their snow? Are they trying to not do plantings there? Is that something that you've talked to them about? Because I know you recommended the city forester with what plant is going to be appropriate for that area. Have you got a sense from them that they're going to be on board with still doing plantings there? Or?
That was definitely a concern of mine as well when they reached out about this alteration, and he made it a point, the applicant, to that he's still going to include new landscaping here, shrubs and perennials, but he just wants to alter this space up here. So just moving this landscaping spot to, or I guess just moving this buffered space over here. So he's still including all the landscaping that he promised us back then.
Mr. Mayor, Tony, do you agree with those changes?
Yeah, I think they're minor enough to not,
Okay,
yeah. Yes, I agree.
thank you. Move approval if approval is needed.
That's cool. I guess my thing is what's gonna happen when this comes up again? Is it gonna be in the same position? You know, I mean, some of the stuff that I look at, enclosed refuge, they haven't done that yet, it looks like, but that's like, it's minor. It's real minor. Some of the other stuff, no, I understand, but minor.
Right.
So that's my biggest concern on this, is are they gonna move forward, or are we gonna be extending it out in September 2022 again?
Well, that's like where we'd have like our follow-up. I think like the first follow-up would be in April to kind of just see if, you know, the refuse has been, and then if it, my thought would be if it hasn't, then we'd have to kind of look for perhaps some recommendations from staff on how we can,
Yeah, I was
you
gonna
know,
say
get
that,
more.
what, you know, if we got some
Gotta be
newer
some-
members,
yeah.
what would the options be? If,
Yes.
You know, we then ask the council to make a step against their special use, or,
On the schedule, they have refuse enclosure for the second quarter of 2022, so is that like June?
second,
Yeah, it'll
April,
probably
May,
be,
June.
yeah.
Could be
probably
anywhere in there, yeah.
So maybe we can
Yeah.
have something in June or July to see if they,
Tony, if we
Got
could
that
maybe
done?
get, maybe, for the next plan commission meeting next month, maybe we can get commissioners, just to have them work on that second condition or that schedule, maybe just have them detail that and put a timeline together, and maybe we can just report back to the commission on that next month.
Okay.
And if there's, I guess if there's follow-up on that, I mean, we could, maybe we can bring them in here to talk about it.
Yeah, and
David and then Wayne.
I agree with the comments about making sure this doesn't sit for another year, but just from our office perspective, we work with a few churches, and they have struggled a lot with COVID going on. There was reduced capacity, they had reduced services, and all of this is gonna be funded off of donations. And so we've seen a lot of our clients have similar issues where the financing isn't there. If they have a $50,000 roof repair, I mean, they're scraping just to try and put the money together to keep the building operational. So in their defense, this has been an issue this year with just fundraising and projects like this. It's not a commercial project, it's all donations that fund the work that happens here. So I have seen other churches struggle with the same type of thing in their defense. Again, I don't know their specific conditions, but
Okay.
it is something that has been happening over the past year that I've seen with other church projects, the similar conditions.
Okay. So we had a motion, but did we have a second?
I'll second.
I had a question.
Yeah, oh, sorry, Wayne, go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Isn't this follow-up issue precisely why the tracking system was created?
And it's, I mean, this is tracking, I mean, because they have 2 years to implement what was approved in 2019. And, you know, in this case, the applicant actually said, hey, we ran into an issue. We're not gonna be able to complete this by our deadline. So, I mean, it was noted, and that's why we put it on the agenda. We had them apply for, you know, the extension. They submitted their materials, and we're bringing it before you. So, I mean, it's working. I mean, it's not like it caught us off guard. I mean, it's something that we're aware of.
Fine, thank you.
Any other discussion?
so are we gonna put this for June, or what did we decide?
I think if we can maybe follow up with the plan commission, just get the details of that schedule of when they're gonna, I mean, they're telling us that they're gonna get us the refuse enclosure for June, and then the landscaping would be, what's the year from, it would be fall of 22? Is that what we're looking at for maybe we just get something from them indicating their,
And I'll present their schedule at next month's meeting, and then also we'll come back in 6 months and present their progress.
I think that's good, yes.
Yeah, I think it's just all about active communication.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item 7.
All right, if you recall, about a year ago, I guess it was in July of 2020, we presented 4 locations for murals as part of the West Dallas Living Streets project. And this year, we come to you asking for your approval for 3 different locations. So the West Dallas Artscape Committee has contracted with Kasten Mural Company. Katie Stensberg was part of the previous group, which was called Wallpaper City, and they were also a part of Black Hat Alley in Milwaukee, and then part of the 4 murals from last year. So the 3 murals, one of them is they're inviting us an artist by special invitation, and then the other 2 was an open call for artists. And then all 3 of these murals are funded through the First Ring Industrial Redevelopment Enterprise, which is managed by our economic development. And all of these designs have already been approved by our jury members. So I'm just going to show you the sites, and we're just going to approve or not approve the location for the mural. So this is on the 6400 block of West Beecher. So if you think about where Burnham, as you're going west, and it becomes Beecher, and you're about to go underneath the railroad, this is right before the railroad on the right side. The artist chosen is John Kowalczyk, who specializes in large-scale public art, colorful and vibrant portraits, and it's 190 feet long, 17 feet high, and the artist is from Chicago originally and now lives in Milwaukee. The next location, next 2, so this one's at 5901 West Burnham Street, Gold Coast Subs. This is a combination of 3 different artists. All of them are from Algoma, Wisconsin, on our northern coast, and they have collectively worked on a dozen murals throughout the state. The final location is Burnham Bowl. Drew York from Moline, Illinois. He's a retired BMX rider and lives in River West, Milwaukee. He'll be painting that one. So with that, we're recommending approval of those locations to have a mural painted on them.
Is it gonna be on both sides of the building or just the one side that you showed?
So for Burnham Bowl, it will wrap around. So this is actually facing right across the street from the new Burnham Point Park. And this mural will wrap around the corner over here. And then
It'll be predominantly on the right wall,
The right
and then
wall
wrap
and then
onto the
wrap around the other
front.
side.
Yeah.
And then over here, this mural will be just on this wall.
And then if you go back one more, is that gonna be in, with all that, the water droop and,
I was thinking the same thing.
thank you. Is that gonna really mess up the mural after 5 or 6 years, it's gonna have that just starting to run down?
It's a good question.
Just-
I know
Just,
that was noticed by the art.
Artist himself,
No, the
Artscape group.
the company.
Casting group.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
they noticed that and were aware of it. So I'm sure they'll put some kind of sealant on it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's cool. I mean, I move approval on that.
For a second.
Second.
Second. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Motion carries.
Right. With that, I can show you the murals that have been painted.
2 of them are already done.
Oh, really?
Are they even asking questions? Which one?
So this is
Oh,
on
there you go.
both sides. That's cool.
You guys did great work. It's a very quick turnaround here.
Yeah.
We're really crossing our fingers.
Oh, I like that.
I think this one's called Second Star to the Right, which
Yeah.
is
Well, that's
Japan
cool.
inspiration. We have this one. It's not quite done yet, but
the sign, the billboards, my understanding is gonna go away, and then the artist was gonna finish the work behind the billboard.
That Patron does kind of match the
It
color.
does.
right?
It
Yeah.
complements
That's the parking lot of the taco place there, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
right here.
It's really cool.
And the third one hasn't been started yet.
Makes you.
I think the third one is starting tomorrow.
Tomorrow, that's
Yeah,
right.
they were priming the wall today. Thanks for your support.
Really proud of answering all or asking those questions now.
Yeah.
We could use some more art here.
Right.
Yeah. Good. All right, and then last one is item 8.
So that's a discussion item relative to existing and proposed rezoning of certain properties along the Highway 100 corridor. So just an update on that. We have mailed all of the property owners that would be affected by that and invited them to an informational meeting. We haven't heard back from anybody, but hopefully we'll have some people in attendance in case they have any questions.
Will it be,
Does any-
will it be the 29th, Tony? or
That's right,
September
September
29th?
29th.
Yeah, Wednesday, I think it is, or
Does
Thursday.
anyone ever go to those?
We had one person attend last time, and she did ask lots of really good questions.
It's more businesses, I think, right, along all that area. that-
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, both those murals that are nearly finished, or finished and almost finished, are attractive and interesting, and I think a nice addition. However, since we are currently still in the process, that is the Plan Commission, I think we should have approval before it's done, before it's worked on. Just seems to me it's out of sync.
It was, and it moved fast on the art group side to get everything in place, and then we got the dates, like, and they were coming up faster than our next meeting,
It was all within a month,
essentially. And it's
yeah.
a lot of these artists are not always available except for certain times, so there are some constraints in that respect where, the guy who's starting on the blank wall tomorrow was just finishing something up I saw on his social media yesterday. So they often go project to project and are limited on their open time. So sometimes we'll have 8 artists, and when we talk to them, 4 of them are not available during the time span we're hoping to get these completed by. So that whittles down the options. So, but you're right, that should be. But again, we could have had them start after today, obviously, because the third one is going to, but I don't know if there was an availability conflict for the first 2 that started or not. I mean, one just lives in River West, so that shouldn't be too hard for him to get to the project, but the other
Thank you.
woman's up in Algoma, so it's a little bit of a commute. She got an Airbnb somewhere around here and, stayed, so.
Is there a next batch? Is there a future group that's gonna be coming down the pipe at some point?
We hope so, yeah.
Like to keep them going. It's a funding question and a location question. And I will say I look at buildings differently now when I'm driving through the city. Is what could be done on
Be
this
nice.
wall or that wall. Or,
I was gonna say it'd be nice to get some more like downtown where most of the traffic is going through, or maybe National Avenue.
Well, the downtown's got 2 of the initial 4, almost 3 if you count the one on Hobby Lobby. So, and then the one across the street, and then Detour. But yeah, National Avenue I think would be a good one with some of the new streetscapes and things like that.
Kind of brightens it up, I think, you know.
Definitely.
If I may, so tomorrow evening is the ribbon cutting for Burnham Point Park, starting at 4. There's going to be live music, and you get to see perhaps even a live artist at work, or at least get to see this part of the mural in person.
Mhm.
Where's that located again?
And that is at Burnham and 59th.
60, I think it's taking like 60,
The park is on 62nd.
Okay, so
Yeah.
just west of Burnham.
It's like
60th.
across the street from
yeah,
Burnham
pretty
Bowl.
much across the street from Burnham Bowl.
Yeah. Good. All right, if there's nothing else before us, then I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks,
Ayes
everybody.
have it, we are adjourned.